Hey, friends, just welcome and just letting you know that this is a different episode than typical. Um, we were going to talk about Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead with actor Keith Coogan and actress Katie Chonacas. Keith Coogan was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, and Katie had actually chosen the movie. The episode kind of took its own path where conversations just sort of just went in different directions, and we talked about the movie, but not quite enough, I think, to name the episode after it. So it ended up, different things about Hollywood or acting or whatever ended up just kind of taking a life of its own, and it I decided to keep everything in, so it's longer than a typical episode that we have, and we still hope you enjoy it anyway. And so, yeah, we do talk about the movie, but I would say, like, the bulk of everything, and my son interrupts the episode, so it just, like I said, I left everything in it, and hope you dig it anyway, and, well, enjoy.
Time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier and Chris Martineau. On this week's episode number 48, Jay, Chris, and their special guests, both actress Katie Chonacas and actor Keith Coogan, review the 1991 American coming-of-age black comedy film Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Shh, don't tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
You were so cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, he's so lucky. And I'm like, I wish I had a brother like that. You know what I'm saying? But
Which
and then I
brother?
told my mom and dad, and then my dad like was telling me, oh yeah, like, the Three Stooges, and I was like, oh okay, Three Stooges, and then I looked up the I didn't know, like, I just got an audition. I'm rambling here because I'm nervous, but I just got an audition the other day, and it says something about the Coogan Act. Like, your name is all over the breakdowns, because it's like I've always been a supporter of the Coogan Act and like wanting my niece and nephew and just educating and letting people know. Like, moms have come to me wanting kids in the industry. I'm like, yeah, there's the Coogan Act, and so I've said your name, like, literally, but I didn't put it all together until I connected with Jay, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I'm totally mind blown, like, here. I'm just like, whoa. And so I'm so honored, because it's such a legacy. I should just get it all out, but it's such an honor and a legacy just to be associated. So thank you so much for saying yes and being here.
Well, Katie, the honor and the legacy is to have people like you that appreciate it, and that's my honor, and you know what I mean? It's an honor to have that kind of reaction. And I don't know if you knew that I was in both movies.
What do you mean?
When you picked up, or if it was a coincidence or not. But I love that. I love that.
No, I didn't put the two and two together. I just literally thought of my favorite movies, and you were in both of them.
And that is exactly the kind of reaction. I may have shot myself in the foot by not branding myself as a Brad or as a Kenny. I thought that an actor was supposed to play a range of roles and you could do this and then be the tough guy and be the whatever. But it's comedy, so you can kind of get away with more in comedy. I couldn't really be like tough like Matt Dillon, even though he's just an actor too. So the honor, the privilege is mine when I see someone's a fan reaction like that. I'm not going to call you a fan or anything, but that
Call
was
me
amazing.
A fan.
I just love it. And I love the Coogan thing and the recognition, the acknowledgement of Jackie, his life and his work, and then the subsequent laws that protect people that walk in those same footsteps. I really appreciate that's the reason I changed my name in '86, because I'd worked in television under a different name for a decade because my mother didn't want me to just get jobs because of the Coogan name.
Really?
She
Oh,
would not
wow.
allow the agents to tell people I was Jackie Coogan's grandson.
Oh.
And my mom had a
Oh,
suspicion that would
man.
give me a
I
lot of work.
understand those. What?
My mom had a suspicion that that would give me a lot of work, but for the wrong reason. Not because I could
Oh.
smile and stand on a mic, on a mark, and read a page of dialogue and memorize it like that at 5 years old. I was a really good reader.
Yeah.
And so I just started working, and I got to work because my mom wanted to say I got to work because of my own merits. Once I got on the sets, I knew that half of the people knew exactly who I was. So that was really interesting.
I feel you, and I'm sorry you had to go through that because I know how that feels. I know how that feels, and that's a whole bag of whatever it is. But no, I understand that. Like my brother, short story. I went to Hollywood. I got all this work. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, Greek, self-made, and my brother came and I introduced him to some people, and he told me, like, literally, he told me hands down, like, I'm at this point, I'm like already doing a movie with De Niro and Pacino, right? And my brother has the audacity. No, I'm sorry. Jessica Simpson. De Niro and Pacino was the year later. But no, different, but different.
All right.
Right, but my brother has the audacity because of our Greek roots, and it comes from that generational, merit. And I understand respect, like what your mom said, right?
Yes.
Even though it was difficult, but my brother said to me in Hollywood, after I introduced him to some people and everything, he told me, Kate, just because you're my sister, like, don't think I'm just gonna give you any roles. Like, you'll have to read for them like everyone else. I'm just like, I would never. Like, are you kidding me? Like, to even say that, I mean, I get it from his perspective of like, like he doesn't want to play favoritisms or whatever, but it's like, I'm your sister. You know what I mean? It's like, that's your family. Like,
well, it's the optics
actually,
of it from the outside, but it's also if I don't know how deep in the family showbiz roots run, or if any of your family had really been into it. They don't give you any break. There's no credit for being in the movies. They're like, well, that's what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to book more. And you could go a little deeper on that choice. And you could have, like, I would get notes for my work from my family because that's also what they did. So they were very hard on me.
Well,
I feel ya. It's already a tough business, and then it makes it worse, like having to explain yourself and all that. I'm sorry, you were saying something, Chris?
Oh no, I was what I was gonna kind of add in is it good or bad? So Keith or Katie, are you saying that is it good to have ties in Hollywood, like your family in the industry, to give you those kind of personal notes, or is that tough to hear as a kid? Like, do you want to hear that as a young person, or do you not want to hear that as a young person? Particularly coming
You're
from
going to
your
hear
own
it
family.
anyway.
Nobody likes criticism.
Whether you're going to
That's
football,
all right.
or
Valid
chess,
point, I guess.
or debate team, you're going to hear it from your family anyway. They're going to be supportive and critical.
Good point.
And honest with you. I've always considered
Right.
it
Well,
just a very smaller world of focusing on who my competition is, my agent, going up for these parts. I got to get it from this other actor who always gets my parts. It's a very small world. You're working on this crew. There's only so many people on the call sheet. 12 people. That's really who you're dealing with this shoot. And you finish, and there's this months before anything comes out, and then it comes out. And you're not, it's nice that there's a reaction and there's a crowd and people watch it, and videos and DVD and stuff like that. But in preparing it and doing it, your mind is really only focused on a very small number of people. The people you're referencing in your work, the people that you're stealing their behaviors from, because all of my choices are based on something someone would do. Someone's going to act like that. I might not. And that's where a director comes in and helps you see another way to look at it. And you go, I don't understand this, but I'll do it. And it kind of opens you up a little bit, because you can't know everybody and everybody's behaviors. You're going to model it off of the people that you know, your teachers, your friends, that kind of thing. So I've always seen it. Now and I just kind of had that realization that my world was very small in terms of who I was doing it for. I was trying to get work to either get out of school or get out of home, or to impress the home, or do less chores or something. And you, Katie, how about you?
So, I mean, I don't want to say it's a double-edged sword. It's a multi-dimensional sword, honestly. I mean, so the grass is greener on the other side. I came from no one being in the industry. There are people in the entertainment industry now, like my cousin Tim Cavanteras. He's has been a lead animator. He's been working on the TV show Archer for so many years, living in Atlanta. And it's so wild because like the one of the leads of the voiceover agent, one of the leads in the show, I see she's with my voiceover agency Vox, and it's like you don't realize, but he's new. He's in his own world, in his own bubble of animation with his people, and working maybe as a freelance artist. And I don't even know the language of what he's doing, but that specific, he does what he does. I know he worked on that Alice in Wonderland movie or something with Johnny Depp years ago, and I didn't see it. My aunt's like, oh, you didn't see it? Like, they posted on Facebook. Like, I'm not big on Facebook. So, no, I didn't see that. Actually, it's good to communicate. So, I think, like, communication is really important. And so is support. So, like I said, grass is greener on the other side. So, like, someone who didn't come from an industry thinking, oh, my God, like, you look at Lindsay Lohan, or if you look at someone, you think, oh, they're or Drew Barrymore, like, they're built into they're so lucky. If they were supported in a way, but I feel like all humans, no matter what, we're human, and we all have our seat and our bag of feeling the lowest of the low, no matter where you're sitting. Like, it doesn't matter, like, if you're in Compton or in Beverly Hills, like, you can still feel lonely, you can still feel unloved, you can still feel not heard. Like, we're all human, so we all identify and share about those things. Whereas someone in the industry, they may have, let's say, I don't know, Will Smith's son or something and daughter, and their family's more open about communication and supporting their, Will and his son. They do things in the industry together. So maybe that support is there. You know what I mean? So it just depends, like, if it's more modern or, different times. And the only thing about it is we're all, like, evolving, So it's like, there's no going back, and there's an also of not understanding like what was, but there's also an understanding of respect, and it is, and we are who we are now, and we can create from the canvas we've been gifted. You
just cracked me up, because now I thought about pretending to go back just a generation, and you go to look up any article on John Wayne or whatever, you open it up and you go, oh God, he'd get canceled immediately. What, you can't see that anymore. The first paragraph, you go, oh Jesus, that's not, you can't say that. Right. You're right. And I think that, I think it kind of call it, especially when you're a public figure like Will, or any bit of a public figure, you have to stay ahead of the ball on those changes. Because what was acceptable yesterday is not acceptable as of 3:00 this afternoon. And also that does open up to what is now able to be talked about. Like you said, that there is, I think, a greater range of expression, and there's more stories that could be told right now. I'm a straight white male, 51 years old. And I happen to grow up in a time where in the 80s, where all the movies were white kids in the suburbs. What was that 80s movie with all the black kids?
So many stories. Wow. I'm a producer. I could take your stories and just repackage them and fly them off to the races. That would be so cool. But I totally feel what you're saying. I totally get it. And diversity is definitely important. And, the 80s are definitely important, in those movies were like super prolific of how it shapeshifted, my culture and my vibes of, like where I am now. It gives us a strong platform, but
there's some legal and regulatory reasons why that happened. In the 70s, they lifted a limitation on marketing to children on television, and so we got Saturday morning cartoons filled with the sugary cereals and the toys, and that hadn't been allowed prior to the 70s. So when we got to the 80s, the consumerism was kind of baked in, and they found that kids in the two parent Reaganomics of the 80s, both parents worked. Right. With Equal Rights Amendment, we had let's get the women in the workforce, yuppies and everything, and everyone's working and making money, and who's watching the kid? Well, there was a generation of latchkey kids born in the 80s that would leave school, play around, go home, do their homework. Their parents aren't getting home till 6 if they're lucky.
Right.
And that's where you ride in the woods on your bike. That's where E.T. and Goonies and these movies come from. It's entirely economical. It's political, which is tied to entertainment commerce.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to tell a different look. When certain directors made certain movies in the 50s and 60s, they were called commies back then, just for,
Right.
Grapes of Wrath. And they're like, Henry Fonda's a commie. What, just because you want to pay your workers a little more money? So
How
that line
dare
is
you,
shifted
sir.
to now, you watch Grapes of Wrath and I can't believe they were like that. And they
Mhm.
don't see the sinisterness in how the government comes and helps at the end. In the movie, it's painted as kind of sinister. We're giving up our power to the government in the New Deal.
Mhm.
So the politics, the optics change constantly. And so that excites me as an actor to see what work will hold up.
Mhm.
I'm not running to watch Ben-Hur right now,
Right.
but I do love Lawrence of Arabia. But I think that's also losing its, the white
Mhm.
savior thing in Lawrence
Oh,
of
yeah.
Arabia. But it was made in a time that it knew what it was.
Mhm.
Like in the 60s, they knew that was a thing.
Mhm.
It wasn't talked about in 8th grade like it is now.
Right.
Kids are way sharper, way savvier. You can't talk down to kids. Entertainment, it has to be pretty generically accepted. So most of the big movies are PG-13. They're not going to cross into R unless they go, we're going to cut out the kids just to entertain a specific group of adults, like Deadpool or something like
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
I know.
If I can, and I want to get back to that.
And the
latchkey
kids still
thing.
go and see that. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
the
that's
kids
true.
still
No,
go and
it's
see that
fine.
film.
Have you noticed that there are, and this is totally sidetracked, but there are no comedies these days. There are only action movies that have funny moments. Like, if you want to see something funny, you have to go see Deadpool or The Avengers or Ant-Man and the Wasp. But there
So we're
are
talking
no
about
something.
movies only, though.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was. That's kind of an argument I have with people. There are no straight Young Frankensteins. There are no Airplanes. There are no Something About Mary's. There are no Me, Myself, and Irene's. Not that that's a very good movie. I'm just saying, like, there are none of those straight comedies because I think sometimes they're afraid of the humor that comes out of it. But if you have a Deadpool, if you have Ant-Man and the Wasp, who's hysterical, or even they made Thor a comedian in Thor Ragnarok. Hello. I mean, it seems as though that I think it's kind of funny that the entertainment industry, there aren't as many of those straight comedies because they're afraid of the comedy. I think. I don't know.
Nice
What
to
do
meet you,
think?
Doug.
I heard it was economics.
Yeah.
At first, it was economics. They said that romantic comedies were great for streaming.
Okay.
So they were finding that romantic comedies weren't really hitting at the box office. And they were like, well, they were doing really, really well on Netflix. They were like, they would premiere a romantic comedy. And it was, the smaller box was perfect. You can pause it, get your popcorn, go to the bathroom, or roll that back. It's not an event movie. And so they had already shifted those kind of comedies into premiering online. I would love to see a Jim Carrey come back. I'd love to see, or not specifically Jim Carrey, though nothing wrong with you, Jim.
Love him.
yeah.
Talented man.
Love
Oh, yeah.
him.
But I do notice that this industry does tend to milk things to death. So new is great. Try it. They just can't. It costs so much to make a movie, so much to market it and distribute it, that without a name in it or a known intellectual property like a book or or other product, no one's going to really watch it. Maybe, I don't know why. What do you think, Katie, about romantic comedies? Is that one of the genres?
Sure. Yeah. I have to really wrap my head around it because honestly, for me, where I am, my demographic and just what I've been attuned to, I've been Mrs. Maisel. So I've been, Schitt's Creek. I've been immersed into streaming, binging these because I love slapstick comedy. I love definitely cheesy comedy. But I honestly haven't been to a movie in a year and a half, and then prior to that, I don't know how many movies I was at before, so I can't really pinpoint any comedy movies in the moment of new movies under the circumstances of what's been happening. I've read some comedies that have come my way from writers that I know, like Billy Ryback is an amazing writer. He used to write for Robin Williams, and he would write for people who would be at the Golden Globes and write, but he was on Home Improvement back in the day. That was more TV, but he's given me some actual good comedy scripts, like you said, that they haven't made, I guess, in a while. But I definitely one is very forward. Actually, it's about this closeted gay guy, and it's this whole thing. It's like that one, I think, Dennis Quaid, that softball movie back in the day, but it's like, but for like, different, but it has like that maybe feel to it, like the essence of it maybe. Yeah, so I have read some, but I haven't really like seen many like comedy new movies, under the circumstances.
The women are killing it
That's
in
true.
comedy.
I think
A lot of the tentpole comedies these days are built along
Yep.
Melissa McCarthy's skills. And who's the Australian one?
Oh, the blonde.
Fat Amy.
Yeah,
from
yeah, her.
Oh, yeah,
Pittsburgh.
yeah, yeah.
right, yeah.
She's doing good.
Rebel Wilson.
Melissa McClellan Covey.
Rebel Wilson.
That's a nice stealth move right there to be on one of the #1 comedies in the U.S. and still get away with Reno 911 humor on her other roles. I've seen her in some other I've seen her too here, and it's like so different than Beverly Goldberg. Yet she's so branded as she's so good. She's created such a great character with Beverly Goldberg.
Julie Ashton? Reno 911. I used to go out for that all the time. Yo, she loved me. She'd bring me in all the time for that show, but I didn't book it, unfortunately. But I loved her. She was like, I don't know. I'm sorry. Is that show still going on? The Reno 911 show?
I think so. No? Oh.
No, but I think that a lot of the people off of it are amazing. I mean, that show was pretty amazing.
But Chris,
I think Netflix.
And when they end, a few people better pick up from a show like that and move on with good work. I think Carla Salas Rocky's done well, and Wendy.
Kristen Wiig's amazing. I love her.
Yep.
Yes,
It's a very smart show.
Now, and it was funny. She, not her fault of Wonder Woman 84. Heavily criticized for many reasons. Cheetah, the character. The movie was heavily criticized, and rightfully so. That felt like a script that was hanging around since 84.
Agreed. Yeah.
And maybe that's the point.
Well, that's the thing. Sometimes with the writers, they need what I learned as a producer also is like when these directors come in, they're these first time directors, they're so attached to their baby that they want to write it and direct it. They're like, yo, I'll give you $100,000 just for the writing, just take the money, run, and then direct your second film. But a lot of directors, a lot of writer directors, I've seen them lose out on so many deals by independent producers who will give them money to do their film. But then, since they're so attached to it, they don't have the foresight. It's like, is this the only project you have? Like, let it go. And then directors take the money and then direct the second one. You know what I mean? But get a name attached so we can make this film. But then, they WhatsApp me and internationally in other places, like trying to stay in contact from like something that happened from like 2007. It's like, let it go. You know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway, that's the nature of the beast. And some people.
Right.
Early filmmakers, when not writing for a big intellectual property, their script tends to be, they're going to make a smaller budget. It's a nice little indie drama, comedy, something. And it's going to be personal, and it's usually their story or something really close to it. So they are intrinsically tied to that material, and they have been told too many times that your chance to direct comes with attaching yourself to your own script and then forcing it upon them. Sylvester Stallone style. I don't know if you've heard the Rocky Sylvester Stallone story. He had the greatest script in town, and he goes to, was it Paramount? He goes, MGM, and he goes, I want to direct. And it was going to be, they said, no, we love the script. We'll give you $3 million for the script. We have another actor and director in mind. If you give us $3 million and walk away, then great, you just got $3 million. And he goes, I need to think about it. So he went home and he's talking to his wife. He doesn't know what to do. And she says, well, have you ever seen $3 million? And he said, no. And she said, well, then you won't miss it. And he stuck to his guns, and he said, I want to star in the movie. This is not because it was directed by John G. Avildsen, who's one of the great, he directed Karate Kid, etc. So he wanted to be in it. So that story has made people realize that is, if they have leverage of a script that someone wants, They'll take less money for it, whatever, but then that's how they step behind the director's chair, I think.
Yeah, I didn't hear that story. I remember him not giving up his baby and needing to be the one to direct it. Yeah. Yeah.
He did give up his dog.
He did?
He did. Like, he actually sold his dog
Oh,
for a
yeah.
little while
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
to help finance it because he was running out of money.
Right. But
And
then he got the
he had
dog
to,
back,
like,
right?
but like he
Wait,
had
he
to pay a
pawned
lot
his
more.
dog?
Yeah, to like some guy, and then he wanted it back, but the guy was like, "Wait a minute, I realize you got a movie going." So he wanted it. He sold it back to him for more money, and also a part in the film,
course.
like I guess a little like
Wow.
walk on part.
Look, guys,
So it's
I've
ouch.
only ever rented my pets. I
Everybody-
have never pawned my pets out or pimped my pets. A rental fee on my neighbor's cat is, it's not much, but it makes sense to me. That's all I gotta say. Food's tough, guys. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, it's
Well,
a hard world.
from-
You gotta rent and pimp out your pets.
Well, a couple of
Sorry.
things. No, a couple of things. I'm holding up 3 fingers, so maybe 3 things. One, a couple of things. But I was-
2, and
yeah.
4. All right.
Yeah, I was Googling, and according, I think, to California law, correct me if I am wrong, pet is considered a piece of furniture. And if you abandon your dog for 30 days or more like a piece of furniture, you dismantle from the ownership for leaving that dog for more than 30 days.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. As a matter of fact, in court, animal cruelty is only defined because at one point they set the life of a cat at $15. And then they said that, well, that's now property value and we can now try people in court for it. There is no trial unless there is property involved. It's a weird thing, or personal injury. You have to hurt somebody, or you have to steal something or break something or hurt something, or else the courts just don't care. And so at one point, they set the life of a cat at $15, and from then on,
Wow.
they could sue people for
Yeah.
animal cruelty.
Pretty insane.
Just so I don't know if I did press record at about like
We're
30
just
minutes
rolling.
ago. Like, just so you know, no. But what I was going to say, do you mind like if that becomes like a side podcast, like and talking movies
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Keith and Katie, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you care if we add that? Like,
Well, you
as
look
a to-
through the Hollywood legal book, and it's like cat clause.
What's the difference?
Coogan Act,
Yeah.
right there.
No, but lastly,
Because I was if
Oh, you don't know. I love it. Who was it? She's on Little House on the Prairie. Nellie Olson.
oh yeah, love her.
And she loves to say this quote that in 48 states, animals have more
Sure.
protection on a set
Yep.
than minor children.
No one wants to see that happen. I think we should have the Coogan Act,
Wow.
and we can have a Cougar Act, which does not allow women over 45 to date anyone under 18. That's all. Okay, so
Wow.
just throwing it out there. We have the
Wow.
Cougar Act. All right, look, I'm gonna buy him some martinis, and he's gonna be mine for the night, and that's it. All right, why did I do that like Linda Richmond? I'm not entirely sure. So
I'm sorry. I'm just sorry to interrupt. I'm half here because I'm trying to look it up. I shouldn't be doing this right now, but I'm trying to look it up because I went to a Rocky premiere.
that's a long way to fly for a
2007.
premiere.
So I'm trying to
Oh,
think.
a Rocky. I thought you said Iraqi. I apologize.
my-
I was in Iraq.
Rocky the
I went to go
movie.
see a movie.
Yeah, no,
it was better than the Iranian premiere. I just figured I was in
My
the neighborhood. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we flew in for it because my producing
Okay.
partners at the time, they produced the film. So I was trying to see like which Rocky
Must've been Rocky
premiere it
Balboa.
was. Oh, here it is. Here we go.
Rocky
Rambo.
Five.
Oh, Rambo. I'm sorry. Different. Way. Oh,
Rambo.
I'm so
Yeah,
different.
The Julie Benz
That
Rambo,
is-
because that one.
Oh,
kicked.
Wait,
oh
that
yeah,
is
the
so
one with
different.
when he
That
was
is
in
so
Burma.
different.
That was phenomenal.
That is so. It
that was
it
good.
was a lot of fighting. A lot of fighting. But and then the last thing I was gonna say, now he's in
Right.
now he's playing
Yes,
a
he is.
shark
Yes,
in the Suicide Squad.
that was funny.
Big
That was funny. Man,
Yeah.
Speaking of comedy films, that's what they're doing now, right? I mean, to do the comedy, it's Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
It's that sick, twisted comedy stuff that people are into, right? That's the kind of comedy, like you were saying, I guess. Like
But
Deadpool
I
would be
think
the
the
same
regular straight
vibe.
comedies are now going to Netflix. Like, so you get David Spade with the Wrong Missy or whatever it
Amazon.
was called.
I just had an insight.
Yeah.
Well, number one, the comedy has to be stuck in those 4-quadrant movies,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's pretty big. And the more that they let directors kind of do that, the kind of more off-center the comedy is, and more risky and funnier. Frankly,
Sure.
Ooh, that kind of crossed the line a little bit. I heard that James Gunn called Stallone and said, "I want you to be in the new Suicide Squad." And Stallone's like, whatever. And he goes, "Yeah, you're going to be a shark." And Stallone said, "Whatever, James, I'll do it for you." He apparently didn't really love the idea, but he goes, "For you, I will do whatever you want me to do."
He liked Guardians of the Galaxy 2 that much.
Well,
That all right.
that makes kind of sense, because I'm wondering, because I'm watching it with my mom and dad, and there's this guy, I don't know if you know him, like his name's Agi, and he's been in the game since like 2009, but he plays the shark as well. So maybe like Stallone was like, okay, cool, but he was only available for some days, and then the other pickup lines had to be by this Agi guy, who's like not,
Aggie
who's
did
credited
all of
in
the
this.
physical. He was double cast so that he's working in
Oh.
her office as when they show them they're all doing a Deadpool, and then he also worked every day that the shark worked because he wore a big suit that took up the space of the shark. Stallone just did the voice, but Aggie, just like
Steve
Gunn's brother did Weasel, he is there physically on the set. I've seen tons of those behind the scene photos of Aggie doing that. It blew me away. I never knew that.
Okay, so you're speaking like you know him, or like he's just in the circuit of things, like, because I didn't have any idea who this person was. So now I'll have to tell my dad. So now to clarify, like, what happened, because I'm like, yo, why is like two? Because I do voiceovers too. So I'm like, what is going
anyone
on
see
here? That's hilarious.
Tomorrow War?
Okay, got it.
No, not yet.
Yes. On Prime?
I did not.
That one is fantastic. It's an incredibly entertaining movie. Truly a 3-act movie. It actually fakes you out so good. You're like, oh, the movie's almost over. Oh God, they're going on. Really? Oh my God. But they do some comedy stuff in there with some of the supporting players, because at this point everybody is now drafted into the future to go fight. So housewives and Aggie types. It's really worth it for some of the comedy moments. Oh, and my
Cool.
insight
All right,
was,
I'll
I
look
think
it up.
it's
Thank
like
you.
Dance Macabre. Right now, the world is so in turmoil that the only things we laugh at are how
Guys, you are
she
muted.
felt funny.
Hold on.
You think she kind of felt funny? Yeah, she felt funny. It's all really dark
Muted.
laughs. Hi.
All right, Edward.
What?
We hear you. You're the future.
Yeah.
That's so
Can
true.
you say hi?
Hi.
We hear you. I like your haircut. Hi. How's your day
It's
going?
good.
I see you. We hear you. It wasn't muted. We hear
A little
you.
red because he was crying. Apparently, he really wants to be here, like, part of the show.
Well, you're
So
here. Be
he's
here now.
Desperate to always get involved. When he knows I'm down
What
here,
is your
it's
name?
torture.
My name is Edward
Yeah.
Fortier.
Hi, Edward. Nice to meet you. I'm Katie Chonacas.
Hi, Katie Chonacas.
Hi. Oh, wow. You're a professional. You said that so nicely. I like
Yeah.
your T-shirt. Yeah. Wow. I
Yeah.
wonder if you would be the youngest
Thank you.
boy or child to have a podcast. I think you have a great voice. That'd be super cool. What if you had your own kid podcast? That'd be cool, huh?
Yeah?
Yeah. Maybe one day you want to come on my podcast. If your dad or your parents would allow you to, we could have you on my podcast talking about some stuff one day, maybe, if you wanted.
Okay.
What do you think of that?
Does that sound fun?
You want to be on her podcast sometime?
Yeah, but now I want to be your podcast.
I know you want to be on mine too. Yes, I know.
Oh,
you already
well,
were.
you
on
are.
it.
You're totally on it right now.
Oh,
It's
no.
happening. Is this your first time, or is this a recurring? Have you done this before?
This is our
I'll be right back.
episode.
This is.
I gotta get water.
Oh, very nice.
You did one episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
How
With
young
my,
are you?
with my daughter. So, say hi to Keith too. Say hi, Keith.
Oh, hi, Keith Coogan.
Are you reading it or did you
He's
know?
reading it.
I'm reading it.
Yeah, he's
Smart
pretty good
kid.
at reading.
Yeah, you are.
Oh.
What's
mine again?
Katie Chonacas.
Well, Chonacas.
Chonacas. Katie Chonacas.
Chonacas, yeah. Katie Chonacas. But you have great ears.
All right.
Yep, you have great listening skills. That's very important as an actor. The thing is, a lot of people, when they're acting, they're just talk, 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 talk. But when they go on tape, they become a deer in headlights, right, Keith? And that's the thing. They're so worried about their next lines that they're not actually listening.
Okay.
So can
So
you
it's
say
important
bye?
to have really good listening skills.
I typically black
Say
out.
as an
bye-bye.
actor.
No.
No, you got to go bye. All right?
No.
I know, but we got to keep going. Listen, you got to say hi, and I promise you'll be part of the show. All right?
Oh, wow.
And I want you not to scream
Okay.
while making a phone call. Come on.
I know. I promise you're going to be on it. All right?
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for
That
talking
is
to
so
him.
sweet.
What's
Oh
that?
my God. You're his
I
dad?
am. Yeah.
You're his dad?
Oh, yeah.
How cool that he wants to
he's-
create with you. That's
Yeah,
so special.
he was crying. So yeah, it's sometimes easier. Just let him down. Let him say hi for a second. So
Yeah. Keith, I saw on your Instagram, because I am following you, that your love story is the greatest fairy
Yes.
tale. So what is that about?
That is about my wife and I. We met at my first autograph convention. And I had never done one before, and I kind of felt it was like standing on a corner taking $20 for selfies. But I was convinced. As soon as I started to talk to the fans and stuff, I saw how much, it meant. And also, I would run around and be fans of other celebrities at shows like this, and I fanboy out over people. So I get it. And she was not a fan of mine. She didn't know who I was, but she had friends that were like, he's never done one. I've got, 5 Adventures of Babysitting things I need signed. And and they're like, it's a Keith Coogan emergency. And she's like, there's never going to be a Keith Coogan emergency in my life. Ha ha. Little does she know.
It's
Every
true,
day
yeah.
is a Keith Coogan emergency. So we got married quick, same year we met. And we kind of went, what if we just traveled and enjoyed the best of the world in LA and Hollywood and do all the stuff you do and all the stuff I do, and we do those together. Now we're on this side of the rope and this side of the rope at the same time. There's a whole community of people that are ride the rail at events and premieres and
Where was the event?
what's that?
Where was it? Where was the
Oh,
signing?
it was at the LA Celebrity Show.
Also, you met in LA.
Hollywood, yeah, at Hollywood and Highland.
Oh, yeah, of course.
In the Lowe's Hotel. It was run by Scotty Schwartz from The Toy and A Christmas Story. And then I did continue to do autograph conventions after that. Try to do about 5 a year if we can. And terribly hard to coordinate with being in LA because the agent is like, you have to be available Monday through Friday. She had clients that were in New York, and they're like, oh, you work Monday, and they're like, great. And they're like, yeah, your COVID test is in and wardrobe's in 2 hours, so you're fired and you're replaced. So it's very hard to leave town, but I want to go to other cities and stuff for these conventions. So that's my stress in my life. Is those conflicts.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's such a
I think
sweet story of how you met. That's so
that is
cool.
an excellent story. And what I find about the conventions, particularly with people that go there and the celebrities that the other celebrities that I've talked to, is that it's interesting because for the people that go to see the celebrities, we're all starstruck and all that stuff. Oh, there's that person. Oh my God, it's amazing. But we have to remember that their job, we're paying them for autographs, but they have just the cooler job than we do. You know what I mean? You guys, this is my job right now. I'm going to sign your piece of paper and you're going to pay me for it. And that's fantastic. Like just like the coolest job ever. And we just forget sometimes that they're just people that, like Keith just said, who fanboy out to other people that are already there. And Katie is fanboying out to Keith. And you know what I mean? Like
fangirling out.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I wasn't thinking. I apologize. I was on a roll, Katie. I was on a roll.
Okay.
I apologize.
Some like autographs, some like selfies, and some just like to talk to, a celebrity.
Yeah.
I am in that kind of latter category. I like to just have experience. Watch Jeff Goldblum try to find what floor he's on in an elevator. Like, that to me is a story. I don't want the autograph, the selfie, not so much. And with my wife, she likes selfies. She likes to take pictures with some. She has thousands, unbelievable amount, and that's what she came to my table to get. Yep. And I was told by Scott Schwartz, just charge $20.
Wait, so
for an autograph, $20.
When
How
did
much
you meet?
$20. How much to sign something up? $20. So my wife goes, how much for a selfie? And I say, well, the autograph is $20 and the selfie's free. It comes with the autograph. So she's like, fine. I don't even know who this guy is, and she pays the $20. And she picked out like a cleaned up Kenny shot from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. She's like, I guess he looks cutest there.
Adorable, by the way.
Long hair. So I signed it. Dishes are done. Man, she hadn't seen the movie or knew what the hell the quote meant. So I come up from around the table to go do the selfie with her, and we get up face to face, and we're angry. We're like, there you are. We're like, I can't believe there you are. Like when you see your soulmate, you're like, that's it. And you realize everything. Why didn't it happen earlier? Why didn't I find you earlier? Maybe it wasn't timing right. Maybe you were with someone, or I was with someone, or like today is the day that we now are together. And we're married in October, and that was like May.
When?
So,
which year?
That's cool.
2013.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
because you keep saying selfie. I'm like, 2005, there wasn't the selfie yet. So I'm like, when did this actually happen? Because we're in selfie talk now. Okay.
No, my wife used to get selfies with disposable cameras that you would get at 7-Eleven, those little disposable ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before
the
digital
selfie.
and all that.
Cool.
Crazy.
Good. Let's do it.
So,
Love to. Yeah.
would you want to?
I would say the jumping point to that is let's talk about Stoner Kenny versus Cleaned Up Kenny, because Cleaned Up Kenny is adorable. I will tell you that straight up as a straight grown white man, that Kenneth had the thing, is adorable. And I'm going to tell you why that's adorable.
Kenneth.
First of all, chops to you as an actor, because here's why. Cleaned up Kenneth, and I'm not just because you're here. Cleaned Up Kenneth has the same energy as, and I'm sorry, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. It's the same energy as the brother in that movie at the end of the movie. And at the beginning of the movie, nobody likes Kenneth. In fact, I'm going to go on a limb and say, and I'd never, first of all, I got to stop talking on my hands, sorry. First of all, never seen this movie ever. So last night was the first time I'd ever seen this movie. Sorry, I'm being honest. I'm not going to lie to you. It was not on my radar.
I'm the one talking about where are all the comedies? Where are all the comedies?
Yeah, well, that was 91, so what can I tell you? But I want to say that props to you, because the fact that I thought that Kenneth was as cute as a button at the end of that movie, and he was, you cleaned up good, because I really didn't like you at the beginning of the movie, nor did I like anyone in this movie. I swear, like the 5 kids are all miserable and basically have, to me, in my opinion, no redeeming value. And to be frank, the little girl is horrible. She's a horrible person. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, but she was horrible. Now she turns around, and you're obviously, sorry to say, I mean, obviously a burnout. You don't really care that your mom's going anywhere. We do have the Confederate flag in the bedroom. I know that's just props. I get it, but okay. So all of that, there's not a lot of check marks in the box as an upstanding person, and it takes you a while to come around. In fact, a credit to this movie and to your acting, because I didn't like you at all, because you're not very nice to really anyone. Is the fact of the matter is that this movie, in my opinion, has a better character arc than Adventures in Babysitting, because I really didn't like anybody at the beginning, and I thought it was just going to be a comedy, not unlike Married with Children, where there's going to be a dead lady, and that dead lady is going to be the joke for the whole movie. Not a Weekend at Bernie's thing, but it was going to be the joke for the whole movie, and they're just going to be like doing horrible things over and over again. I did not know that this movie actually was going to have a character arc, and believe it or not, cared about the family by the end of the film, and actually believed your turnaround from the beginning to the end, because it was, even though it took a while, the transition was slow but deliberate. And I will say to that, and I'll shut up in a moment. When you start to learn how to cook, like you finally find the thing that you like, right? Because you have no focus in your life. I like smoking weed and hanging with my friends, and that's fine, right? And not doing very nice things, like, by the way, where does one get a rifle to shoot plates? I don't know that that's the best idea ever. But my point is that it's a subtle transition, and I will. There's two moments, and you can agree or not, and Katie, you can jump in.
Yeah.
There are two moments where I think your character starts to turn the page. One, he finally sees the cooking show. He's got the munchies, wants to bake a cake, and says, "I think I'm going to do that." And then you burn the waffles, and all your stoner friends are eating waffles. And they don't say, "You should make more waffles." They say, "Make more amaretto hazelnut waffles." So you went right into trying amaretto hazelnut, and then we saw you
Mocha Swiss. Make some more mocha Swiss amaretto.
I apologize if I don't remember what it was, but it was so specific and gourmet that I didn't expect it. And then you realize, like, wait a minute, this guy's actually trying to do something and trying to be good at something more than just hanging around. And that is the turning point. And then the kid breaks his leg jumping off the roof. And now suddenly you actually have to fess to, oh, wait, I do have to. I've had a taste of turning my life around. I've had a taste of actually focusing on something. And now this kid who was in my watch, who didn't do anything wrong, has broke his leg. And it's actually my fault. Like, nothing else is really the character's fault. He's just kind of along for the ride. This is my fault. And that's actually what turns him around. And then we get cuter Kenny, responsible Kenneth. And then actually, like, and I don't know, man, like, that to me that is more of a character arc than you learning to be tough to the bully, the big tall guy in Adventures in Babysitting. I bought into that more than the other movie. I don't know. Am I way off base? You're the actor.
No, not at all.
All right.
I think Brad's big arc was, and the thing that resonates with Adventures in Babysitting and Brad is, if you were following Brad and his wants and needs, you might have come to the conclusion that maybe he gets the babysitter. And then when he doesn't, and you go, oh, wow, he has to sit there and watch as she kisses somebody else. And he goes, no, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
That's reaching a level of maturity.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the real arc. And in Don't Tell Mom, what you said was interesting. First of all that stuff's the writing. All that little stuff. I didn't even notice that, about the little subtle detail about, not was he just making burnt waffles, but he was making burnt gourmet waffles.
Right.
I never even really clicked to me that there was that little overlay. That's interesting.
Okay.
Oh, I think Kenny's incredibly external.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I took the role, because I like the redemption story and the metamorphosis, and that it would be very visual.
Mm-hmm.
You would see him get cleaned up and start to dress better, and then his hair is shorter. And it mirrors Christina's internal growth.
Mm-hmm.
Hers is a maturity inside, and start to think, respect mom more, and maybe go to college, think about the future, take it a little more seriously. And the movie is really Secret of My Success, or Working Girl.
Sure.
Couched in this kind of, at the time there was a lot of, the parents are gone and everything falls apart for the kids. And Neil Landau and Tara Langdon, they said, what if the parents leave town and the kids get their crap together?
Yeah.
So the whole movie was built around the premise of each kid maturing and growing up by the time the mom came back. And I love that you go, they're going to hammer the babysitter. No, 25 minutes in, we dump her off. And maybe there's one callback on the phone. I'm like, nah, she's at the yarn store. And then the writers said this, especially when Warner Brothers brought the script. They go, we want to change something. And they go, fine. But we have one caveat. There's one joke that has to stay, and it was in every version of the script. That last time you hear about the babysitter on page 30 something, she can never be brought up again And at the very end of the movie, have the mom go, "Hey,
Yeah.
swell, where's the
Right.
babysitter?" And they go, "You keep that joke and you do whatever you want with the rest of it." And they did. That joke kept. I love it because it totally gets everybody. They go, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
you're right. We got so wrapped up in the B and C plots, we forgot
Right.
about the A."
And that to me is really clever. Because I was about halfway through and I went, wait a minute, wasn't there a dead person? Like no one cares about the dead person. And then when it came back, I had an actual laugh. Let me put this to the two of you. And I noticed this, and this is a note that I wrote down. I was very impressed with Christina Applegate in this movie. And I'll tell you why. 18 at the time, right? Am I wrong or am I right? 18? Okay.
Sounds about right. I was 20, so she'd be 19.
So,
yeah, something like that.
And again, not versed. All I knew was Married with Children. Not a lot of depth to that character, but that's the way it's written, and that's fine. What I was expecting was
Not a lot of depth in Kelly Bundy, someone who was aware of her sexuality, aware of its power, aware of its relationship and power to men at the time. That she actually, I thought that Christina played Kelly Bundy as if Marilyn Monroe played Bus Stop or
I'll give you that
for Blondes. A genius level IQ comedian working within these other kind of the structure, and it wasn't so challenging. She doesn't have to sit there and cry over a dead body or my child.
No,
but she carries that movie on her shoulders.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Easily.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm not.
She's a movie star. You could just put the camera on her and have her read the phone.
No, I phrased that in the wrong way.
Who make it seem so easy.
No, I know.
I know. I'm not. That's not what I was getting at.
Now, Katie, for you, was Married with Children a really big thing when you first saw Don't Tell Mom? Were you layering over? Were you giving Christina a chance to have a different character when you first saw it? What were your expectations?
Shall I jump in? Is that cool? I'm just...
Hit it.
I just want to say how you didn't make the connection with the amaretto, which I love, by the way. Like mocha, hazelnut, all of it. I'm an amaretto girl. Like, I love it. But I honestly, like, you didn't make that connection. I did not make the connection until just now with Married with Children with the movie. Like, I see them as so separate characters. I didn't think of Christina Applegate one time when I've ever watched, like, now recently, and then from when I was a kid, I never made the correlation of the TV show with the movie. Like, they've always been very separate characters. That's how great she is.
She practically got in a car from the set of Married with Children and drove to the first day of Don't Tell Mom.
Right.
And then left the set of Don't Tell Mom at the end of the summer and went back to the stage to do Married with Children.
Right.
It was between seasons of Married with Children. I think it was between the first or second season because Fox was brand new. So Fox was a new network, and Married with Children was the show that launched the network.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is that I was expecting that character in the movie because that's what I thought she did. So that's what I want to say about that.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Now,
television does that too.
Right. So the surprise
you're always Opie.
Right.
You're always
right.
Nicholas Bradford. You're always gonna be John Boy.
Right. So
when you're on one night of television, one show on broadcast television is seen by more people than the top box office movie.
Yeah.
Because if you take the top box office movie and the money and you divide it by $15, say average ticket price, you're like, 3.5 million people went to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, what was the ratings on the TV show last night? The lowest rated show, 9 million people.
Mm-hmm.
So TV reaches way more people than feature.
Yeah. Holy camoles.
So that's amazing. That's really awesome. But what I loved about Christina Applegate in the movie was I was expecting that. And that's not what I got at all. It started kind of as that. But then as we go through the movie, she acts her ass off in that last scene. Like, I actually felt what she was feeling when she was fessing up to the whole thing in front of that ridiculous scene where, by the way, where'd they get the sound system and the lights? But that doesn't matter.
Petty cash.
You know what I mean? Like, she's there, and yeah, I know. And petty cash.
Because the guys have a garage band.
That's right.
They have a garage band, and someone's got a PA system, and someo's got a couple of spots or access to it. Those guys stole that crap.
Probably,
hooked it up.
Shoved it in the back of their Hyundai.
But what I really liked is that through the whole movie, She has a character arc. Obviously, she becomes more mature as the movie goes on, but she always has a moral compass through the whole thing. She knows what she has to get done. She doesn't do it necessarily the most adult way, like, oh, we need some money. I'll go to the hot dog place. That's not going to work out. I can do better than this. Moral compass. I'm going to go do this. Now, granted, does she make some mistakes when she gets to the corporate thing and lie her way in? Sure, but when there,
that wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
She was going up for the receptionist job and got sucked right into the amorphous hub of the communication
right, but
system.
she doesn't let this, like the sleazy guy that comes in and whatever name, who's awful.
His character.
Who, David Duchovny?
No, boy, there's two of them. Duchovny made me laugh so hard because it's 2 years removed from X-Files, and I just wasn't buying it. He had shoulder pads on that jacket. Oh my God. But anyway, so Duchovny was scummy, but I'm talking about the one that Rose's boyfriend. Yeah.
Slickster.
Rose's.
He's like,
oh, Gus.
Yeah.
Gus.
But she sniffed it out right away. Like, yeah, she went to lunch with him, but she just thought, well, that he just asked me to lunch. So? And not understanding.
So the Annenberg Center, believe it or not, the Annenberg Center at the Hammer Museum Theater held a Women in Film retrospective programming. And they honored movies like Working Girl, Norma Ray, and Don't
Get Out of Here!
Who's Dead for positive women stereotypes in the workplace. You have a woman boss with Rose Lindsay, who that's not an issue. You have a mentor relationship between her and Christina, and then you have her creativity, and it's very secret. My success.
But I mean, it was just neat to see that even as being a young person in that role, they didn't she had the smarts enough to know well, this guy's a dirtbag. I can't I'm not gonna give in to that sort of thing, or how to navigate her way through the office and to ensconce herself. So it was really nice, and I was in on it. I drank the Kool-Aid on the character as she was going through her progression. So it was really interesting to see. And like I said, I bought it at the end. I didn't buy the fact that, okay, you lied to us, but I got this really great job for you. I mean, that's such a late 80s kind of movie thing to do. I think okay, you lied, but you're really great at it. So how about a raise? That really doesn't happen. You got.
But that's the way it really happens in business too. It doesn't matter in a world of, not that it's right or wrong or whatever, but in the workplace, it really, really happens. People do things and then they still get deals anyway. You know what I mean? It's certain things happen and they're like, hey, how about here? This is opportunity for you. And it really happens.
Sure.
It does.
Okay.
I pick up what you're saying, definitely.
You know what was cool
but
about
it actually really happens.
Back to the...
I'm a man, so I've only relied on the Peter principle in office environments. I always knew that I never was qualified for whatever role I was in, and there's always someone more. And I took advantage of it. I would just watch Office Space more and more and more, and do less and less work at the office, and get constantly offered promotions and raises. And I wholly took advantage of that. It was a joke. I would literally laugh at how.
Not only that, I'm
Keith,
seriously, not only what you're talking about, I know you can connect with me here. Even when I'm with my coach and they're on the Zoom and I'm self-taping for these movies and these TV shows now, do less. And that's what they've been saying since 2005. In the craft of acting, instead of showing something, they just
Did you ever watch the parts you don't book, and they hire somebody that was 4 times bigger than you ever would be? So I call bullshit on that. I keep getting told do less, and then I see the piece and I go, "Are you freaking kidding me?" So I'm always.
But do you coach
in real choices? What's that?
Do you Yeah, in real choices. Yeah, but do you coach with someone when you are you setting self-tapes in now, and are you getting coached, or are you self-directing when you send in self-tapes?
My wife's the best director.
Cool.
Shoot it in front of this thing here. I just sent something in early this morning. I just sent in for, will be cast off of it. So hopefully that shoots next week. Hopefully I booked it. We'll
Yay.
see.
Break legs.
I don't like it. I don't like self-taping because you can't work with somebody and you can't get in the mud with the casting director. You can't get down in there and actually work the scene and see what's up. And I'm worried that they're getting people that are pat. That's it. That's the look. That's the choices we want. That's it. Well, that's all you're going to get. And you're going to get that exactly that. And you're never going to get more than that. You're never going to get deeper than that. And so I've kind of stuck to my guns, and I'm thinking that there's enough want and need for people to see comedy movies on the big screen again.
Excuse me.
And that those kinds of choices that I used to make are still there. I teach class, and I think I learn more in teaching than in taking. I've taken workshops and classes and all that other good stuff. But I've also just been a working professional for 46 years now. It's very hard to turn to somebody else when they either don't have as many qualifications or insights are incredibly subjective. So if they're not in a hiring position, their attitude is unless they're actually in a hiring position. And there's just these lists, and I'm at the bottom of a foreign. They'll guarantee certain countries, my name's on something. They go, I'll get $100,000 and this will get so and so. We know we can sell a movie if you're on the thing. And so I fell off the A list or B list in the States mid 90s for financing and distribution, but I was still on the foreign and the B movie and the Roger Corman style stuff, and that's where the work is.
International foreign
paychecks
sales
and the notoriety and all that stuff are on the one, and I like to pop in, and if I get when the door opens on those and I go and I do that stuff, I feel very hamstrung and very limited. They don't allow the same kind of creative input that they used to for the performers. The performers are now just a liability. They're just are they gonna is one single actor in this scene of 5 actors gonna go, wait a second, that doesn't make sense, let's reblock it? That's time. And that's the last thing producers want to do, is take time to make something great rather than just good or we got it done for the day on time and on budget. So, and I never worked with directors that went overboard or over budget or over schedule, but they knew when to stop, slow down, take the time, and listen to their performers. Like you said, listening, I think it's a two-way street. You cast me, I'm an ingredient in the dish. Let's talk about how strong or mild of a flavor I have to be. So I hear you when you ask that question on self-tapes. And frankly, nobody.
I feel like I'm not doing anything.
My wife will go, that's your best tape.
I feel like
my wife will say, that's your best.
It's so hard because when you want it so bad, like we get in our own way, and you have your wife to work with, so you're so comfortable like within your own skin and your environment. And the coach I work with, he really knows how to soothe and keep me calm because he has a sports mentality. He was in sports like I was. But if I'm working with like someone at like Leslie Kahn's studio, like a coach, and you're like on a time, you're paying a certain amount, my energy, I'm very intense. I'm like ramped up, so it's like sometimes I feel like I'm just like I don't feel like I'm too much. I guess I don't want to say I've been told I'm too much, but sometimes you have energy like I do. We have energy. Our energy moves. You know what I mean? We're walking, talking comedy. So like, I want to circle back around actually to the film, but I definitely, with who you are and what I see about you, I definitely think like for you, comedy, your own show, like everyone building a show around who you are after your legacy of over 40 years.
Nah. Neighbor, second lead, show up every third episode on a show on a network that nobody watches, and it runs.
You're like, I don't want that responsibility. I want the. I get it. Got it. Yeah. That's why I'm like.
Take it. I just don't have the ego to think that anybody would be interested in that.
Oh, got it. Okay. Interesting.
Well, no. Honestly, I'm not. Number one, I'm an older, white, straight male. Very little interest in hearing more of those stories. We've heard enough of those stories. So where do I find my place in the stories that are being told today? Antagonists. I think I play a great sex pervert, talent agent, drug dealer.
Who doesn't?
These are the parts I'm getting now. Is all heavies and all comic caricature bad guys. And I love
what about
this thing
voiceovers?
because there's a lot of There's a lot of lane there to work with in
Yeah.
comedy, I think.
Are
I would
you
play Gus in the new version of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter.
so,
Hey.
so is
You're
it
into that,
interesting?
that's cool. I can make it arrange. You're not.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, just kidding. What now?
And he's probably one of the actors I admired the most when we were working on it, other than the guy that played Franklin, who was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this guy was in The Fly. You know, oh my God, I was like so impressed with.
Well,
with
I
Gus.
liked you the best in the film, and I liked you the best.
You know,
I loved Christina in the film, and because being a kid, if I may, being a kid watching it, and I'm in the, because when I first watched it, your character was older than me, so I looked up to you. When I first watched it, right? So I looked up to the character when I'm watching this character, and I'm thinking, oh, cool, like so cool, like that breaking the plates on the thing. It's like, because I was a rebel child, you know what I mean? So it's like you guys were you captured, and the character captured the essence of what kids are really doing in their bubbles. Like, they're just in school. You feel like time is so slow, like it's not moving. It's just it's like all you do is just hang out with your friends and like smoke some weed and like wear leather jackets. And I just thought the hair long was scraggly was like so cool. I thought it was so cool. And then like the girl in the beginning of the scene, like with her girlfriends, and like they're all going away and the mom's going away, and it's like I just thought she was so lucky. I'm like, I wanted to be her. And like your little sister in the film, it's like I'm like, I wanted that to be me. Like, why didn't I have a mom that went away, you know what I mean, to like be home alone? Like, that is so cool. And then and then as a young adult watching the film, and then Christine, some of what we talked about, but Christina Applegate, like her skin tone and the delicacies, because like I was younger looking up to her as well, and now I'm a young adult and being in the entertainment industry, and then seeing her now, and then that her essence, and like the subtle energies of like her character and the subtleness of all the choices she made and the things that she did, and like you guys were saying earlier, all the weighted stuff that she took on, but made it look so effortless, because she was just like in the flow of it all. And then just like
she knew to throw it all away. She knew that she's on camera most of the time, and so right there you're forcing a kind of focus on the audience, and so she knew she didn't have to do anything. She just had to react and kind of just sit there,
just be,
and like you said, just exude
I
that kind of energy.
I thought was. Go ahead, Jay. Go.
I
Jay,
liked
go.
a couple things I like to. Well, I like the scene where he takes her and has her riding hippity hops, because I think that was it was like a cool moment, because all right, I spent most of the summer pretending to be an adult.
Yeah,
I'm actually 17, and now he's going to make me pretend I'm 6. You know what I mean? Like something that she would be like. Obviously, nobody's riding hippity hops at 17 on a regular. So I'm saying, like, it was almost like, don't forget, about being a kid, a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, so it was a real cool balance, because like she was like, I can't do this. Okay, fine. Like, because there's the child in her.
Brian represents the teen that didn't skip steps. So Christina wants to skip steps and maybe not go to college. I'm just going to go right into fashion. And I think that Brian the Clown Dog knew that you have to take crappy jobs first. And he wants to maybe oceanography. How far from making chili dogs is that? But he knew that was a step in his personal growth. He's like, there's no trust fund. I got to earn some money and, maybe get a little scholarship here and then I can get in. So he's like a normal, personal growth. I love that she needed that play as a kid time. She's missing out on going to the beach.
It was authentic, though.
That was good to show. I love that.
I'd like to
too,
take
Ray.
that and
I
go
love
one
that,
step further and say, Christina Applegate is obviously naturally beautiful.
Represents
when
the
she's in
culture
the
of the 80s,
daytime dressing like her mother with possibly the
Oh
largest
no, I'm just
shoulder
giving
pads
it total
I've ever
kudos.
seen. Ever. I understand. I'm not bagging on it. I'm just saying those are some big. Oh boy. But she made herself up, and they showed herself making herself up and making herself look professional when she was acting like she was 26. But then when she has her date with, I'm sorry, I forgot the name, but the date with the hippity hops and Brian, she has no makeup on during those dates.
She's wearing cool eyes.
Yeah, she's wearing cool eyes. She's got no makeup on. Equally as
she's a
beautiful
teenager
to
again.
show the transition that she's trying to make. That during the day, I'm an adult, and this is how adults act, quote. And then at night, I'm still a kid, and I'm going to, kids these days wear your makeup. And they made the choice, or somebody made the choice, say, no, we're not going to put any makeup on you at night during these moments to show you that, no, you still need to have those moments of, you can't just jump into adulthood. You do have to kind of work your way up and find yourself and all that stuff. And finding yourself isn't with the makeup. Finding yourself is maybe without the makeup, who knows? Which I thought was an interesting choice.
Are we really even discussing this deeply?
Yes. I swear to God, this is what I was thinking of. Am I cuckoo,
But you know
Keith?
what?
Am I nuts,
Also-
or am I making shit up here, or?
What was nuts was to release a comedy film on the 4th of July weekend.
No,
Well, who does that?
yeah, no one.
You know who could do that back then?
July,
Warner Brothers.
that's when it was released.
Yeah, it was released
Okay,
for July
cool.
1st
Very
or
cool.
something like that.
Very cool. So have you
What
worked
else?
with the director? Is it Stefan or Steven? Does he go by?
No,
Have
Stephen
you worked
Herrick.
with
He
him
directed
since?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Three Musketeers. He's a workman's director.
Mr. Holland's Opus.
You need a movie that's shot in focus and clearly lit, and you can hear everybody talk and has a nice, good pace.
Mhm.
Stephen Herrick's your man. So it's great to be able to borrow and go, hey, listen, I know you did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I don't want people to think of Bill and Ted while I'm doing this, but I want to steal a bit of Keanu.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It was a
Oh,
nice
yeah.
line. So he kept telling me a word that I had not. I read a lot. So when he said troglodyte, he goes, be more troglodyte. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, caveman. Got it. Base. I'm hungry. I'm horny. I'm whatever. I'm bored. Very easy, base, simple, and to play a character that didn't care about anybody was the funnest character. He's the most selfish character in the world.
Mhm.
And so just by caring a little at the end, everyone thinks it's this great, tremendous growth.
Mhm.
Right.
I love it. I love that. Now, Katie, were you aware that I auditioned originally for Brian the Clown Dog Boy?
No. I had no idea.
Yes.
Tell me
I got
more.
the script
Oh my God.
from Harry Gold. And,
Harry Gold gave you
and
the
Harry
script.
said,
Okay.
read for Brian. And I said,
Yeah.
Harry, I just did Adventures in Babysitting where I'm the nerdy kid who's kind of in love with the babysitter. Isn't that treading the same ground? I like Kenny, 15-year-old stoner, heavy metal, Guns N' Roses, then comes a gourmet chef. I go, what about the Kenny part? And Harry goes, you're too old for it. Okay, fine. So I went up for it, and I think Sharon Bialy's casting. And
Who?
I read for Kenny, and I read for Brian, and the producers are in there, and Steve Herrick and everyone. And I finish, and I pull her aside, and I go, "Can I come back in a few minutes and show you something?" She goes, "Sure, Keith. Yeah, whatever." So I go out to the car, and I had prepped a wig, a skull vest, torn jeans, the whole look.
Good for
I changed in the car.
you.
I walked back through. By this point, they changed over to casting Kenny's. I'd walk through 2 benches of guys that all had long hair, and 3 of them were cast as Lizard, Hellhound, etc.
Mhm.
2 of them were friends, Mike Coppola, and so I walked around and, hey guys, what's up? And she goes, "Great, come on in, Keith." And I turned into Kenny, and I kicked open the door.
Fuck
to the
yeah.
casting
Oh, I didn't.
room.
I'm so sorry.
That's
I didn't mean
okay.
to say that.
No,
That's
fine.
all right. You can say.
Oh, I'm
I
so
kicked open the door to
okay.
the casting room with the wig and in character, and I go, all right, who's in charge here? Let's do this. And I stayed in character. I blacked out, read it, and left. No, I read it, and she goes, "Cool, Keith, go ahead and take off the wig." And I pulled off the wig, and Brian Riley and Bobby Newmeyer and Stephen Herrick went, "That's the same kid that was just in 15 minutes ago?" Nobody believed I could do Kenny. And the only way to do it was to do it. And so that it's not Catwoman, it's not stalking a director across the street in an outfit. It's not breaking into something. And it was also with a casting director that I had a working relationship with. And I asked permission to do this. It's not suggested that everyone do this, but something called to me about that. And I booked it. So yeah, I wasn't originally up for it. And that's where I am now in my career,
That's awesome.
Katie, is I still look for the Kenny roles, even though everyone wants to put me in Brian the Clown Dog. I'm like, I've already had enough success and money. I can hold out and do the parts that I think need that voice. Remember, I come from a fourth generation of performers that started in vaudeville, and some of those jokes still play. Not all of them, but some of them. The sight gags, human nature, human behavior, imperfections, vulnerabilities. Those all are exactly the same as they were in 1921. So I'm thinking that this is ridiculous and it doesn't need to happen, but I hope the industry comes around on me a little bit. I've already tried adapting to the industry and it's not my bag. I have kind of my way of doing things, and they're not really bizarre, and they certainly don't waste time because I get everybody out early. Just a few takes, let's go, let's move. Hey, I got an idea how to save time and money, and what time do you want to go home? 10? We're going to get out of here at 10. I'm always on the crew side. I'm always on the UPM side and the producer side. I help make movies. It, just as an actor, what little part is you can do it. But that's my fun in making a movie, is helping on screen and a little off screen. Hey, I see a little problem with your schedule there. Hey, hey, you could cover for that there. And I don't know. I love making movies. And the luxury of being on movies where you're there for 3 months on location. You're there every day. You can get involved in every department in a way and learn so much about it.
I haven't done a movie where I'm away for 3 months yet, but yeah, something to aspire to.
Those are going to be the ones where you don't have the distractions and you don't have the familiarity. You're stuck in a hotel room, and if you're bored, you go meet another cast member for lunch, or you go do research, or or you're also working when you're on location. You're working 6 days a week, and that allows you to deeper focus, I think, on getting.
I see myself like a Catherine Zeta-Jones. She travels with her husband when they're doing projects. They travel together. So I'm thinking, like, if I'm married and I have children, maybe like I'll be a kind of person like a Gwen Stefani, where I travel with my family. So now they have Airbnb and homes that you can rent, right? Not like hotels anymore. So maybe like in a home, and I'm on set working for a few months on a movie or something like that, while my partner is, with the kids. Because when I was a kid, I was thinking, I'm going to have 8 nannies, 1 for each child. I was thinking, I'm having 8 kids. It's a lot. But now it's like quality over quantity. Even one's a blessing, right? So I'm thinking, like, it would be really great to have the partner be there instead of a nanny raising the children. That was my ego back in the day. But now, more sustainably, would be, being in my trailer with my booth like this, because I have a popular podcast, thank God, thank goodness. And then I do voiceover. So it's like there's so much downtime when we're shooting that I could be, recording some music or recording a podcast or like on a podcast, like, or doing, a script for an animation series. So there's a lot of possibilities to make them all align and tie in a bow. Yeah, but I'll let you know. We'll talk more about that. I'll keep you updated. Yeah.
So, I think it's called integration, because as actors, we have an innate ability to create a split personality and an alter. If we truly go into character, we're rewiring our brain waves and frequencies and neural patterns to think like another person and experience life as another person. And it comes from childhood trauma. Often it's the ability to do this, to split into an alter, is increased if you had a lot of childhood trauma, because you tend to dissociate when you're younger, when you're hit with trauma. So if you learn to dissociate when you were younger, as you grow older, it's easier to trigger that into what I call go under, go in character. So integration is, I have a real life and then I have a movie life, and I literally have 2 names.
Me too.
I have like a legal name and a driver's license name, and then I have a stage name. And at one point I had said, I'm gonna blend the 2. I'm gonna try to not have to switch between life and then work. And I don't know, I'm still an ongoing experiment.
Go ahead.
One sec.
No, I think Chris
go
was
ahead.
going to say something.
I was just going to say that it must be an interesting. I think he's being wrestled by demons. Okay. What is that noise? It must be interesting, again, from an acting standpoint, if you do have to go into a character. I always wonder this about actors and writers, and I mean novel writers, when you have to go into a character that is so anti-you, that is so not you, or you have to write something in a book that is horrible, that by all intents of society standards is terrible. Like, where do you pluck that from to be convincing, either to write something that is so not you, like I don't even want to say it, or be a character that is absolutely.
No, I'll tell you.
Tell me.
I'm sorry. I can just cut you off and tell
Bring
you
it.
right now. A couple things. One, like I have the heart center to say that the people who have had such hardships at a young age, the people who have had the trauma, they're made for the entertainment industry because they can handle the rejection. They're used to getting beat down. They're used to the no's. They're used to it. But then they have this spirited fighter mentality where they're just going to show up to the mat and go for it.
Yep.
And they have the bravery and the courage and the rawness to go there that most of the herd won't because they've been disciplined, proper, tamed, disciplined. Don't do this. Stay in the box. Stay in the box. We're primal beings, but stay in the box. Be a waspy person. Be in the box. Don't do this. Don't do that. But the people who go outside of the lines, the people who show up and show something that other people won't do, like Kenneth did, for his character, it's the people who go there are the ones who, are able to open up their hearts and make it happen. Because the thing is, it's like on my worst day ever, if I can disassociate anything but have that space to do so as an artist, like I have me and then I have the person next to me, which is my invisible artist, and I create a space. It's not me, my partner, and then my artist. No, it's me, my artist, and then my partner. You know what I'm saying? Like I have that space to clear to a canvas to be so clear that I have space to be able to go in there and roar, even no matter what kind of day I'm having. Because like the thing is, when I come to the role, if I am not willing to really go there, I'm wasting the casting director's time, the producer's time, I'm wasting my time. And it is difficult, but being able, if you have trauma and you have that kind of upbringing of a dissociation and you're able to dismantle who you are in everyday life and you can just dismantle that and show up to the canvas with a blank slate and really go for it and be vulnerable. I mean, that's why you watch movies. That's why people watch TV, because we do what most people won't do. It is so terrifying for a lot of people to be vulnerable. The people who grow up vulnerable, like with sharing emotions and things like that, like they also have a great work ethic to be able to do that naturally. So if you have that skill set, great. From my experience in understanding trauma and understanding humans, we didn't grow up saying, how are you mentally feeling? How are you doing? You're a human being. But people are like, how are you doing? It's like, no, how are you feeling? Fine. That's not a feeling.
Right.
No, I want to know, how are you feeling?
Hair is fine.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Katie, the original villages, take a village of 100 people, and you're going to have the hunters and the teachers and the medicine people and a storyteller. So they're the sixth guy on the hunt. He doesn't throw the spear and he doesn't spot the animal, but he's with them, kind of backing up. And they go out on the hunt, and
I love Og.
Og tripped. The big hunter tripped and he fell and he almost got it, and then they wound up getting the animal. But it was a great story and it was really funny. And they get back to camp. Og can't tell the story, but the other guy that saw it, he's really good at telling the story. He tells it and it makes everybody laugh, and they cut off some meat and they give it to him. He earned his keep, if you will. And the storyteller merged into the magi, the soothsayer, the sage, the mystic, the mythic, the priest. Remember, priests have a stage and a proscenium, and they wear costumes. And those were kind of the first theater, I think. And it does transport people. and it lets them see themselves outside of themselves. And that's the biggest thing as an actor, is that mirror holding up human behavior back to other people. And we've turned to stories, I think, to make sense of the world. And so we don't ask our neighbor, hey, Ralph, how are you doing with the oppressive weight of the world and life and our mortality? We're not going to do that. What we are is we'll watch a movie and they go, hey, did you see that movie last night? That was pretty cool. Yeah, it was cool. Okay, he saw it too. So we're in sync. So I think there's a way that, art, that's what we do. Science is science, and, athlete's athlete, and storytellers tell stories, and everyone's different. There are some people that never move, change. They look the same. They sound the same every time that they do something, but they carry with them a gravitas or something that story needs. And I'm excited by the challenge. And this is from my family. My family said you can never get typecast or stereotyped into a role. They did not want me to do regular series television because they knew that you would be and that character forever and never really going to work again. So it was always the next part is got to be as different from the last part as possible. And that doesn't fly today. What flies is branding. What are you? I got to look at your headshot and know you're a nerd, and that's it. You're never going to play anything but a nerd. That's bull crappy, I think. And it'd be interesting to see when I can let fly like I did before. It'd be interesting to see, because right now it's only on smaller budgeted projects. Smaller budgeted projects, I'll play characters I'll never get to play in A-list stuff. Of course, we have people that look exactly like this part that we always cast in this part for A-list stuff. I'm like, I know. So I'm waiting. I don't know. I'm not waiting for anything. I know that everybody is doing it themselves and making their own projects and telling their own stories. Unfortunately, it's the most cost prohibitive damn art medium to work in, but costs are coming down. Everyone's got cameras and sound now and lights, and you just need actors and lights and sound and a camera really to capture a movie or a story. So that's changing. And I also know that everybody that did that made their own project, it was their last dime. They had just mortgaged their house. They've sunk everything into it. They'd given up everything, and then it worked. And we often don't hear the stories where it didn't, because they didn't make it. But that's scary. It is really leaning out far to catch that brass ring. Actually letting go of the horse and jumping off.
I'm going to interject, and I think we've kind of touched on a lot of the stuff of the movie, or at least the points that we want to talk about here. But there's one thing I want to bring up, and I want to talk about Keith's analogy of the village and the teacher and the hunter and the storyteller and whatnot. And it makes me feel good from what you just said, because I'm a teacher. That's my thing. I'm a high school physics teacher.
What do you teach?
I teach high school physics, and I teach I teach physics as an adjunct professor. I teach astronomy, and I teach physical science and all that stuff. I just got a master's degree.
Thank you for teaching the kids.
No, it's neat.
They're the next generation.
Well,
that's so important.
Just graduated from Penn State with a master's degree. But here's the deal. When I enter a classroom and I know the young people that I have in front of me, and I know how impressionable they are, and I'm going to say that. I'm a teacher. But when I enter my classroom, I am the storyteller. I'm not only giving them the skills they need, not just science, because it's not just about science, just about learning, right? It's about using your brain. But hopefully what I'm doing is giving them the confidence to do the thing that Katie said, was just to go out there. And I am telling you that life is a bit prescriptive, but you have the allowance to go outside the box if you need to go outside the box. Like, we're telling you that this is the way to do things. But you can try to be adventurous. Try something new. If it doesn't work, come back, go back inside the box, try again. It's okay. Don't be afraid. So many people are afraid to be wrong. No one likes to be wrong. No one likes to be told that they're wrong. But the fact of the matter is, you are wrong a lot. And what I do as a teacher, and hopefully some of my students will come your way, because not all of them are science people. Some of them have gone out to acting careers and going to Hollywood and all that stuff. Is hopefully you're running into them and they have that bravery, or at least I like to think I was part of. I'm not the sole reason, but I was part of their willingness to go in a place that doesn't make them comfortable, whether it's science or art or whatever it is. I advocate for all of that stuff, that hopefully they have the bravery and they have the energy to do what you guys are doing, and to take that leap and to do the 10,000 hours and to dedicate themselves to what they're going to do, regardless of what comes up, whatever the good times, the bad times, and all that sort of thing. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm not saying I've got your career. I'm not at the same level, but I like to think that I am the teacher and the storyteller, because I do tell a mean story in my classroom, not just about me, but you know what I mean? And I can tell them I spoke to you people, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah. There's the student and there's the student and the teacher, and when you teach, you get to learn twice, right? So it's like it's such a gift. Like us even being here, and the listener and the viewer tuning in all this time. Thank you so much. We honor your space, your time for being here. It's like it's an exchange of energy, and it's just a collective consciousness talking about then and now. And the thing is about what you said is like, what people are doing and the imposter syndrome and waiting to make it right or for it to be perfect, it will never be how it was. And the things your family taught you because of like the way the industry is, which, you know, it's a machine. Like it's a machine, and it is the way that it is. And there's something that's always evolving. So it's like, you know, there's that, you know, space and choice to pivot and shift. I mean, I'm really big into neuroscience and behavioral science. Like, I'm very big into it. An amazing book. It's called Roaming Free Inside the Cage. It is so good. It is amazing, and it's so good. If you guys all want to read it and your students, but it also circled back around to when I first met this woman, Judith. She was on the board of the Enneagram, and we had such a great meeting. She was actually that weekend doing a weekend workshop, a 2-day workshop, which was like 9 hours a day. It was like very jam-packed. And she took a year, and she taught it was the Enneagram with feature films. And she took each Enneagram number with films like Jerry Maguire, but let's just stick to Don't Tell Mom's the Babysitter's Dead here. But she took the number of what the character would be, and she would know in 2 seconds the number of your character. I don't want to, you know, botch it up, but basically, the Enneagram is based on our habitual patterns, not how we want people to perceive us or what we've done in the past. And as we evolved, like my Enneagram number is probably maybe different from what it was 7 years ago, but based on my habitual patterns now. So basically, Kenneth and his habitual patterns in that specific film, and what you were saying cognitively about rewiring the brain and making choices in the patterns that you would pick up specifically for that character and other characters. Judith, who's on the board of the Enneagram, taught a workshop of the evolvement and the devolvement. That's what guest stars are. We're either evolving or we're devolving. That's it. And in films, Kenneth, he was in a devolved state, and through his journey, he evolved, right? So whatever number he was devolved, and then through the journey, he evolved. And I think, you know, the sister did too, Christina Applegate. She, you know, evolved in that moment. Yeah. So it was really cool to kind of just put all that together. But so like seeing that in films, you know, it's like really, really neat. And what you said, the science of rewiring your brain patterns for characters, you know, we can, based on, you know, everything's experience. Like that's what we do as actors, as creators with our craft. We take our own experience and we put it into the characters. And like, if I'm doing this one character, you know, like Christina Applegate, I mean, her character, it was like so powerful. She made it seem so, we already said this, seamless and flawless, but it was very intentional and specific, you know, and it was very powerful, especially everything she went through, having to battle like sick guys at work, having to deal with the kids at home, having to deal with a boy that she could have definitely fell in love with, you know, and had like a newfound love while she's having to put her hats on to something else. That role was not easy. That was such a complex role, but the way she was in it and the way she moved through it was like, I mean, beyond brilliant. But yeah, that's kind of like, those are some thoughts I have in regards to what you said. Lastly, I guess in regards to what we just talked about, at the beginning of the pandemic, when my nephew was 11, I was watching him do homeschooling, and in one of his classes, literature classes, the teacher shared this YouTube, and I need to get it, but it was teaching the history of literature, and it was teaching what you were saying, Keith, about the storytellers and how it all first started, with the Apache days and the Native Americans, and they were showing this video on. Are you okay? Do you need a water?
Yeah.
Okay. And they were
Water. Oh, I
yeah.
think there's water in coffee.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yes, water.
There's water.
Okay. But they were showing the storyteller and how, the language of sharing and communicating was just through stories before we had radios and podcasting and everything like that. We just have the storyteller, which is our jobs.
Oral tradition
Yes.
is interesting because language can change, and we know that anything written can be destroyed, or time can wear it down, even carved in stone. But the oral tradition, like DNA, the oral tradition goes back to the beginning of mankind. And a society like Native Americans, and I've got that little bit of Blackfoot that everybody that's Irish or has Irish, Dutch, English, Scottish ancestry family came over in 1851 with the Irish famine, landed in Syracuse, New York, trauma, worked on railroads and building canals and working with dynamite and taking all the crappy jobs like firemen and policemen. I love being Irish because there's no bad stereotypes. We drink,
Yeah.
No,
we
yeah.
fight,
Yep.
we have lots of babies.
Yep. Hey,
Where's the bad stereotype?
I don't know. I'm trying to find one. Well,
that oral tradition, that even the symbology has changed, and the words we use to try to describe how we came to be humanity, which were born with the questions of, hey, I just saw somebody die. That means I'm probably going to die. Oh my God, or mortality. Wrap our heads around that. There's something about those powerful original imageries and our worship of the unseen mother, the unseen father, outside of our actual society and family units. That there's something else.
Right.
There's something else out there. And every brain seems to be wired with that kind of belief. And now they say it comes from when our bicambrial brains, we lost a barrier. There used to be a barrier. No, there used to be no barrier between the self and the outside. So if you thought a thought, it was God talking to you. You heard an outside voice go, the good berries are in the West Valley today.
Right.
And until our brains evolved into bicambrial states, separating the outside thought from the internal thought, then that voice was another voice. We're like, oh, there's another thing telling me to do something. Our brain physiology changed as we changed. And it was as we created fire and cooked protein, which increased our brain size, which also then increased the size of the unborn child's brain in the womb, which then had problems getting out of the birth canal. And they said, actually, we need to birth. Then physiology changed and said, we need to get the child out of the birth canal before it's fully developed. Because if it develops more, it can't exit the birth canal. The brain will be too large. The head will be too large. This is all from eating protein, from being more efficient hunters, and starting the agrarian society of sitting down, working a crop, and staying there. These are huge. This is Mesopotamia. This is the and the beginning of civilizations. It rewired our brains.
Sure.
So, as complex as any role or thing is of today in modern society, a high concept movie or a comedy or action or thriller or horror, the acting still has to be recognizable as human behavior.
Sure. Absolutely.
I may be big, but I think that there are audiences that are looking for that. They want bigger comedies like that, but still relatable. Still, I buy it somehow. And right now, I think that they're just too scared on these big things because they want to rein them in and let the writing do it. And it's also not your job. It's the star's job. You're just playing desk clerk number 2. So don't do anything with it. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do something with it every time. And I'll get on a project that wants me to do something with it. And if you don't want someone to do with the character, if anybody could play that part, then let anybody play it.
Yeah. Well, and that's it's an important way to look at how we see stories and how we kind of project ourselves onto these characters that we love so much on screen. And that was a really great point, going back from again, the way that the brain is developed to be outside the self in order to take in the information around it, because it does become almost a survival mechanism to be able to see something from outside your point of view and to empathize with those. To empathize with those around you is an important skill, and not every animal does it because they did not undergo that similar evolutionary biology that Keith just talked about. That was awesome, and that was deep, and that was fantastic. But we are kind of out of time.
Oh well, two things
So-
really quick. I have to.
All
'Cause
right.
Can't even get into
No,
jokes.
I know.
Seriously.
Sorry.
Fine.
No,
fine.
but what you were just sharing, some of what you were just sharing, is actually in Roaming Free Inside the Cage. I was actually up to.
Okay.
I'm reading it for the second time, but I was up to 3 a.m. reading it, and it actually talks about what you said about the human brain going through, and the loss of the separation, where there's the loss of, and as individuals. And why, when we have the loss of, and then we identify with different personality types, is it because of the way we lose the connection, which is one, the loss of trust. There's the loss of trust, right? Then there's the loss of there's the presence, there's the joy, there's the awareness of being aware. Like when the kid's aware and the mommy's clapping, and then the mommy stops clapping, and then the mommy starts clapping again. So it's like you're aware that your kid's aware of you. So there's that awareness. And then, but it talks about the loss of connection of, like, me, I'm a heart-centered person, right? I'm a number 2 on the Enneagram. But when there's that loss, maybe there wasn't that attachment style, right? Of like needing love and attention, or maybe it happens in some way. It just happens to us all as human beings. But to understand, so the guy who wrote the book, he was practicing, his specialty was infancy, and understanding what happens in prenatal, and then, when the child is first born, and the separation that we all have when we come into the world. It's magnificent. And so I'm so interested in this because, we're human beings and we're here. So it's like, where did you really come from, Jay? Like, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, most people don't talk about those things. Like,
Rhode Island.
Yeah, most people don't talk about those things.
Rhode
but,
Island.
But those things are important, especially when we're,
No wonder you brought up something about Mary.
like, especially with talking about life, and then our craft, and what we do and where we have to go to understand different types of characters and roles. But
Sure.
lastly, I was wondering, so I know you mentioned the other casting director, which I was never, I've never read for her, I'm not aware of her, but Jane Jenkins, I love her, I've connected with her, and I see that she was the casting director on it as well. So did you read for Jane ever, or for the film?
Was that
Don't Tell
Adventures
Mom
in
the
Babysitting? You're talking
Babysitter's
about Jenkins and
Oh,
I thought it was Sharon
let me
Bialy. I'm so
I'll
sorry.
double
You might be looking at the wrong. Janet Jenkins and Hershenson, I think, were Adventures in Babysitting, and
Right.
Sharon
One second.
Bialy's Don't Tell Mom.
Don't tell
Well,
Mom.
I believe she just cast me in
Well, I gotta-
Last Tycoon, and she talked about how old her daughter was that she was pregnant with.
Wow.
When we were doing Don't Tell Mom, the Babysitter's Dead. She's like, oh yeah, she's got college degree and having her own kids, and she's 30. And I'm like,
I
that's-
do kind of have to
blows
wrap this
my
up
mind.
because we only have so many megabytes of space that we can.
All right.
We got to do. We only have so many per month. So,
Well, shout out to the casting
this-
directors and the directors
Yep.
and the writers, because love to the casting
Yes.
directors. Yeah. But yeah, I guess I just.
The casting directors are mostly women. Have you noticed that?
I did.
Or a
And
lot
you
of
know
gay
why?
guys. Yeah. A lot of
Yeah,
women.
but you know why? Because they can see
Yes.
through bullshit,
Yeah.
and they can instantly see where you're at developmentally. It's not about how good you read.
Yep.
It's, are you in the right place?
that
Isn't that
It's
Yeah.
really, they're really more
kinda
psychologists than
Han
love
Solo
that.
in Force? Han Solo
it's
in Force Awakens says, "Women always find out the truth, kid." Anyway,
Yeah,
what I
true.
would like to
That's true. They see the
absolutely
truth. You're
no doubt
absolutely
about
right.
it.
You're absolutely right.
Anyway, what I like to do is look. This movie is fantastic. I'm gonna say it definitely holds up. It definitely stands the test of time. There's no doubt about it, except for the shoulder pads and the upwardly mobile female wardrobe. Besides that, everything else about it is dandy. I want to extend a gracious thank you to Keith Coogan again for coming on our show. I appreciate it
Yes.
so much. In the babysitter sequence of movies, there is none better than Keith Coogan. Katie Chonacas, you bring a hell of a lot to the table. I appreciate that you were here. And boy, I read that passion when I asked you that question. If there was a 3D computer, I thought you were going to come through my computer, and I really appreciate that. That was so good. I was totally hearing everything that you were saying, and it's great. And man, I got to tell you something, Jay, you're fantastic. No, but let's get everybody a nice round of applause again. Keith Coogan, Katie Chonacas. We're doing Don't Tell Mom Babysitter's Dead. I feel as though it holds up. Jay, you think it holds up? We talked about it before the show even came.
Of course, absolutely.
It's a fantastic movie. I want to thank you guys again. Is there any, Katie, just real quick, what's your podcast that you're on?
She's All Over the Place podcast. So if you want
Okay.
to keep hearing my voice there and stuff about entertainment and neuroscience and stuff, definitely come to She's All Over the Place podcast. We're season finales next week. I'm so excited.
Excellent.
Excellent. But I give Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead 11 out of 10. I mean, definitely through the stars. One of my favorites, and it only gets better. It's only gotten better
Awesome.
since I've seen it through the years. Yeah.
The rating that is mathematically impossible. And and Keith, we'll keep an eye out. And again, you're going to be you're in the circuit. You're in the autograph circuit. Is that true? I think I remember that from last time.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be at the New Jersey Horror Con and Film Festival in 2 weeks. The Hollywood show this
cool.
weekend here in Los Angeles.
Nice.
That's all I have set
Oh,
for
cool.
right
Awesome. Excellent. So
now. And you can
we'll
watch
keep
Don't
our
Tell
eyes
Mom the
out.
Babysitter's Dead on HBO Max. And Adventures of Babysitting just premiered a few weeks ago on Disney Plus. It is edited for bad language, but that's available. And surprisingly, deep cuts like Cousins, Cheetah, Hiding Out, Under the Boardwalk, and Toy Soldiers are also on streaming now. And I've been getting hit up. I love it that people are going through the deep cuts like Book of Love. So,
Well,
when
I'll
pandemic
hire
hit-
you.
Awesome.
Sorry.
When pandemic hit, I saw my residuals go way up because they had no new content. So they were, and people were turning to comfort food, and I'm so kind of honored and grateful that people considered some of those movies comforting to them.
Well, Keith, you are the tomato soup and grilled cheese
Awesome.
sandwich of our lives, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Jay, everybody else, please
right.
like and subscribe. Please review us on Apple Podcasts. Please hit up these two guys on whatever they're doing. These guys are fantastic guests. Jay, thank you again. Again, spread the word of Film Crickets. You see what we bring to you every week. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and our YouTube channel and on Instagram and all the social media and on Twitter. Thanks again to our guests. Thanks again to Jay.
Chirp about